Hello and welcome. This is Paul Sandhu. So today I just wanted to do a short video while I'm driving on the topic of free will. Okay, this is a very highly debated topic as to whether the Bible is a free will doctrine book or not. And I have to say, I have done videos on this and they are on my channel. All right. And basically, what you should do is just do a little search. Go to my channel. It'll show you a little search, that magnifying glass kind of symbol. Click on that and then type in free will. And you will see some videos that I have done. And if I get time, sometimes, I'm busy, so I just make these videos and post them. Then I will put the link in there as well. But the short answer is the Bible is not a free will book. Okay? Free will is a myth in the Bible. It is a doctrine that is promoted heavily by the world, by Hollywood, basically to tell you that, we have the will to access, we can exercise our will and make choices that can lead us to life. However, in the Bible, right from Genesis all the way to Revelation, in Revelation, I believe it is in chapter 4, for example, we are told, that God has created everything and that everything was created for His pleasure. In the book of Colossians, these are in the New Testament, we read that all things were created by Him and for Him. And for Him, basically, all things exist. That's it. Okay? So, this is a very difficult thing for people to accept. That, our existence is to serve the purposes of God. So in that sense, we are puppets, in a very literal sense. But I will also then show you how and why that is also the greatest blessing that we have been given. Okay? Now, I do not want you to start thinking that I'm teaching that man has no will. Okay? That is not what I'm teaching. Okay? When it comes to will, essentially what that means is that it is that faculty by which we make choices. Choices between choice A and choice B. And what that choice A and choice B is, it simply means that it is a choice between good and evil. That's what it comes down to, okay? So, in order for man to have a will, first of all, God had to give him the faculty to make choices. Now, these choices, they may well be pre-programmed into us, okay? Just like in the case of Adam and Eve. When Eve, took that fruit and ate it, the forbidden fruit, which was the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now you will see tons of Hollywood movies and other lying doctrines, that'll tell you that God, forbade them to eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge. They leave that part about good and evil out, okay? They don't understand that God gave Adam the earth, and He told them, to keep it, to guard it. He made the animals, brought them to Him, and man gave names to all the animals. He understood that this was His dominion. He understood His physical world. So it is not that Adam did not have any knowledge. He had plenty of knowledge, okay? But he did not have the knowledge of good and evil. And it is the knowledge of good and evil that takes us from being robotic creatures, okay, to being creatures of conscience. And conscience is the relationship of will and conscience is it is indisputable, and it is also not severable. Okay? You cannot sever the connection between conscience and will. That is it. When it comes to will, it is 100% a relationship, direct correlation between conscience and will. Without a conscience, you cannot really have a will. You're just going to be a robot. And that's what Adam and Eve in that Garden of Eden, before they ate the fruit of the tree, the knowledge of good and evil, they were robotic creatures. But God has not created us to be robots. He has created us to be creatures of conscience, that we are to understand the difference between good and evil, and then we are to be programmed so that our choices, our minds and our hearts are going to be so programmed that the only choice that we will make will always be the choice of good. Okay? That is what God has created us to do. So without understanding good and evil, we could not choose between good and evil. So that fact alone, that God gave us the ability to actually experience both good and evil, it shows you that God did not want robots. He wanted like creatures that were his own kind. But that is what God is. God understands completely the difference between good and evil, and yet the Bible tells us he cannot even be tempted by evil. So he is completely immune to evil. He is absolutely good. And that's what God has created us to be, are to be creatures who are absolutely good. Now he also understood that if he gave us absolute free will, okay, not that he did not want to give us the faculty of making choices, that is very necessary, and he did that. But if he gave us absolute free will, where we would be absolutely free to make whatever choices we want to without any guidance, without anybody pulling the strings from behind and guiding us, okay, subtly, we would never ever turn to him. Okay, once we had made that choice for evil, as it happened through our first parents in the Garden of Eden, we would never be able to extricate ourselves to save ourselves by making a choice. Okay, this is why the doctrine of free will is not a biblical doctrine, because what does the Bible teach us? That God has done everything after the counsel of his own will. Okay, of his own will begat he us. Okay, God, the Bible clearly tells us that, we did not choose God, he chose us. That, he is the one that called us, that he is the one that programmed us to be his sons and his daughters and his children from before the foundation of the world. If that's how we were chosen, did you exercise your will before the foundation of the world? Of course we didn't, right? I mean, that's a ridiculous idea. So therefore, it is God who wills, and then he transforms, he programs our will, okay, by teaching us, not by forcing us, but by teaching us, but showing us his good as we do evil to him, by doing evil to each other. God in turn does good to us by forgiving us, by not holding us accountable. It says that, you have not dealt with, the Bible clearly tells us, you have not dealt with us after our sins. If we had to pay the price for those sins, we would never enter into life. Because that is the whole purpose of God showing us his love by actually paying the penalty for our sins, our mistake, our evil, by doing that himself. That is a demonstration of his good. That is good is love. So that is a demonstration of his love to us. And it is as we begin to view and see and understand this love that we begin to be transformed into that love. Okay? That is what is happening here. That God it is who willed for us. He paid this world in which he has placed. In the visible world anyways, we are creatures of flesh and blood, and he's got plenty of them on this world. And some are good, some are chosen to be good. Let's not say some are good. There's none that are good. But some were chosen to be transformed into good, and some are not. That's just the reality, okay? Again, that comes down to the will of God. Okay, why does he do that, and how does he do that? How does he determine those choices? I don't know. I'm not God. All I know is that he called me and he chose me, and that's how I came to know him. If he hadn't, then I wouldn't know him. End of story. I would have continued my merry way, and one day I would have died, and then I would have realized, what a lie my whole life had been. People live a life of lies. That's it. Their whole life is a lie, and yet they are not able to understand that they are living a lie. And that understanding itself, that, our life is a lie, it comes from God. So that's what he said in Isaiah in Isaiah, I believe in one of the chapters in the 40s, 41, 42 or something, God said that, I have blotted out your iniquities as a thick cloud for my own sake. So he didn't say that, hey, you made a choice that you're going to be good, and therefore, I forgave you your iniquities. He said, no, you were going along your merry way, being this evil, this absolute man of evil or woman of evil, but I chose you, I redirected you, I changed your path, I subtly, steered your ship for you into the right direction, and I forgave you for my own sake, because I am the one that willed for you to be saved. Okay? When Apostle Paul wrote, that even the faith we have, some of us have faith in Jesus Christ, some don't. That's the way the world is. The majority of the world doesn't, as a matter of fact. But those who do have faith in Him, it is not according to something that we did to have that faith. It is the gift of God, the Apostle Paul told us. So, God gives us even the gift of faith to believe in Him. So this is what it comes down to, okay? If everything is done by God for His own purposes, for His own will, then who are we? Who are we to say that, we have made the choice? We haven't. We haven't, okay? What we are given is the understanding between two choices, and God works in us to show us these choices, show us the difference between good and evil, by being good to us while we are being evil to Him, and then He works in our minds and our hearts to say, okay, now you understand the difference, now choose good, because I have shown it to you. I have willed that you should understand the difference between good and evil. Now you make the choice between good and evil. And it is, again, because we are transformed in our inside, our programming inside is being changed, that we make that choice. Again, something that God willed, not I. I didn't will for that to happen. Like I said, I was, going along my merry way, very happy to be, just being this most, not even thinking about, how good or evil I am. I understood, inside, subconsciously, I could say that I understood that I was not good, that all the things that I was doing, they were evil, but I didn't have, the Apostle Paul wrote that. He said, yeah, I understand that, but I don't have the power to change myself. He said, oh, wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from this body of death? See, he said that. If the apostle said that he knew that he couldn't change himself, then he understood that he did not have the will to make that happen. That could only happen by God's will, and that's what he said. Thank God through Jesus Christ our Lord. That is how the change happens. Because God wills it, He calls us, He programs us, He changes us. And that change can only happen, that transformation can only happen through understanding. Otherwise, it can never happen. And that understanding can only happen if God wills for you to have that understanding. God has not willed for everybody to have that understanding. Why did God not will for everybody to? People say anybody can be saved. No. That's not true. That's not in the Bible. Yes, we preach the gospel. We tell everybody the truth, because we don't know who God has chosen to know and understand it, or who hasn't. So, I'm not the one that makes that determination, but it is also a biblical fact. The Bible clearly tells us, many are called, but few are chosen. Okay? It doesn't even say all are called and then some are chosen. No, it says many are called, but few are chosen. So again, understand that. This is what the Bible teaches. I don't agree with it. You say, well, then don't agree with it. That's up to you. That's entirely up to you. But if you begin to understand, then you will also come to know, I understand now why it had to be that way, and that's a complex understanding that I'm not going to go into it here. I keep teaching and I keep teaching and I keep teaching, and all of this understanding is shared in those teachings. Freely I receive, so freely I give. But this is something that you need to study for yourself, and then you will understand that God is not unrighteous, that God has not done anything wrong. God has done everything right because He is right. He is righteous. And in the end, it is His story. This is His show. This is His program. We are characters in it, but that character of who we are going to be was determined even before any of this. You see, as I'm driving, I'm sitting in this car, any of these things that are existing around me. No, all this was planned ages ago, millions, maybe billions of years ago. I don't know how long ago. But that's when God determined it. That's when God exercised his will, that this is how it's going to happen. And here I am today as a result of that will. Okay, so please get that through your head, that the Bible is not a free will book. It doesn't give you the free will, because if you had free will, you would never be saved. You wouldn't be. You would pay the full penalty of death. And then I don't want to go into, you want to understand what death is, then, I have videos on death as well. And, that is the greatest horror that you can ever face, is death. Okay, real death, what that means. It is not non-existence. But that's what God came to save us from. And he did that by his own will, not by my choice or my will, or because I have such great faith. I did not. Okay, he gave it to me. Whatever he has done, it is a gift. But in that process, he has taught me the difference between good and evil. He is sharpening my conscience so that day by day by day, as I'm perfected in love, I am becoming more and more immune to evil, so that in the end, when this job and this work that he started in me, as we read in the book of Philippians, that he who began a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. When that work is finished, I will be 100% immune to evil. I will not even be able to be tempted by evil, just like God. Then I will have been transformed into the full image of God, and then I can have a full and complete relationship with him, which is the purpose for which I have been created. All right, but I have to learn all this before I have to learn good and evil by experiencing it. And it is not that much evil has been done to me. I would say I have done more evil to others than others have done to me. And yet it is God who has shown me that despite all that, he has only done me good. And I am ever grateful and thankful to him for that. All right, I hope you will study these, Don't fall for this. Anything that, Hollywood or one of these mainstream, Oprah Winfrey, etc. promotes, like the doctrine of free will, then, red flag should go up right away. That, hey, this cannot be from the Bible, because these people are not out there to teach to you the truth of the Bible. Thanks for listening. This is Paul Sandhu.